What is up everyone, and welcome to a very quiet episode of F122 My Team Career Mode. Long story short, I accidentally didn't turn the sound back on after I turned it off recently between recording the last video and this one. So yeah, there's not going to be too much music going on. But anyway, we'll get straight into things. Hopefully it's not too awkward. Last time out, we had a pretty good race in the USA. I think we finished 11th, which was our joint highest finish of the season, but still just one position away from that elusive points finish. So yeah, we're still looking to get 2 points finishes in 3 races before the end of the season, which looks ever less likely as we go on, but you never know. It's not over till it's over. I think we went for a chassis upgrade there. Still comfortably the worst car in the field, but that's fine, you know. We've got 2 big regulation changes coming, and perhaps one of those will potentially put us back in the hunt come season 2. I can only hope so. We start looking through the driver market, see if there's anyone in particular that we're potentially interested in acquiring for next season. I was just having a look through because I was trying to remember who was retiring, because usually you can't find them in the driver market, and I think Bottas is the only person missing thus far. I can't remember if anyone else announced their retirement or not. It's been a while since I played in this career mode. But what I was doing was I was looking through to see if there's anyone I would like to be my teammate next season who I could get a good deal on. Porsche was 1,070,000 rated, so he was a sort of potential candidate I was thinking about. But yeah, we looked through. I think Vershaw is someone I considered briefly, but then I arrived at someone who was quite cheap and very good for how cheap he was, and that is Enzo Fittipaldi, who you see there. Not on screen at the moment, I was looking at Deleta there, but Enzo Fittipaldi, 68 rated and only 800k, could be a very good deal for us potentially. I think it's because he's had a buff, because he's obviously racing in F2 this season as well, but his rating hasn't gone up like his pre-season rating. So maybe we'll sign Enzo Fittipaldi next season. I actually think he could be a pretty good shout, and it would mean that we potentially could get some more facility upgrades before the end of the season. Skip through that average speed zone activity, all gold, everything fine, nothing to shout about in any capacity whatsoever. That's going to be the most awkward part of this video, is that you're not going to get the F1 theme at the end of each session, so apologies in advance for those of you who are F1 theme fans, but this video is already recorded. There's nothing I could do about it. I could edit it in post, but I'm too lazy for that, to be perfectly honest with you. So yeah, we're just gonna get on with things as normal into the race weekend proper now for the Mexican Grand Prix. This is a track that I typically don't do fantastically well with, and there is a promise of rain for the qualifying. So I think there's a pretty good chance of us not qualifying particularly well here, if I had to guess. But who knows, you know? Anything could happen. I'm looking at that streak from France to Netherlands, 21st, 22nd, 21st, 21st. Of course, if I'm not mistaken, I believe 3 of those were DNFs. It was just the French Grand Prix, which was an actual finished race. It's been a while. It's been a really long time since I actually did those races. It's been about 4 months. So yeah, I'm not really good with remembering how things went. But we're gonna get into practice now, and yeah, I think I will probably not show you anything from this practice session, but just know that I was struggling quite a lot. I usually in my practice sessions, at the very least, I will tend to use a few like sort of flashbacks if I'm struggling quite a lot, just to sort of practice certain parts of the track if I'm struggling quite a lot. We did actually end up getting through the race strategy program. We were reasonably fast. Lap 3 looks very good there, and then we kind of tailed off after that.
Top 3 again. Leclerc, Verstappen, and Lando Norris. What an incredible practice session that was. But the fun doesn't stop here though. Join us again as the rest of the weekend unfolds.
And it was 17th for us in the end, but we were the slowest of the medium compound runners. But we were a second ahead of Schwartzman, so I think if anything, I think I've got a pretty good chance of out-qualifying Schwartzman and maybe some other people who sort of have similar pace to Schwartzman. But it remains to be seen. We'll get through that. If you are wondering what development boosts I got, I'm afraid you're not going to find out, because this time I skipped through them. Let me know, is it better if I start doing that rather than trying to do the sped up like development boost thing? Because I don't know, that was taking too long, and I don't think people overly cared about it. It was just kind of a completeness thing, but maybe it's not necessary going forward. We made it through the practice session. We're going to see, I think, if there's any more development that we can do on the car. Obviously, anything we develop now, we also have to adapt before the season's over or we lose it. So, you know, come the final race, it's probably worthwhile not doing that because we're effectively just chucking away resource points for no reason. I don't think we are actually going to spend any before we go into qualifying here. It is going to be wet, which is not looking great. I'm typically not as fast as the other cars in the wet anyway. So yeah, qualifying session, I think it's going to be a good chance that we're not going to perform particularly well. This is really eerie without the music, honestly. But oh well, when we get into the actual race, it's not going to make a difference. So yeah, here we are going around for our first qualifying lap, and yeah, I don't really have too much to say other than that, like, I basically just wanted to get out as quickly as I possibly could, because you'll notice I'm on soft compound tyres despite the fact that it said it was going to be a wet session. And when I realised it wasn't raining, I was like, okay, I need to go immediately. And you can see it is seconds away from raining. Like, if I had like left it any longer, I don't think I would have been able to get a dry run in. So at this point I was thinking like, oh well, if it starts raining like right now, there's a really good shot that I could get into Q2, because yeah, like if I can get round before and there's still cars in the garage and everything, so I was thinking like, yeah man, like if they don't go, like we could be in with a real shot of getting into Q2, just on the grounds that we set a lap before it started raining. Lando Norris sets a 1:16.9. We're going to be a little far away from that. I think it's a 1:18.3, yeah, so 1.4 seconds off Norris. It's not great. We are ahead of Schumacher at the moment. But then I ended up not going again because I thought it was going to start raining after that. It didn't. Everyone improved, and I ended up last behind Robert Schwartzman. Not a fantastic qualifying, especially considering that I would have at least wanted to be ahead of Robert Schwartzman. I didn't have a good qualifying lap. But I kind of just tried to power through it and hope that it would, I don't know, pay sort of dividends for me, and it just never did, unfortunately. So yeah, we probably won't be starting last for the simple fact that the AI probably will have penalties. We actually finished last race, so we don't have any penalties. We are not doing particularly well in this rivalry with Daniel Ricciardo, as far as I know. Yeah, I think he's going to wrap this up in probably a couple of races. But that's fine. That just means that my game gets easier after that point. I don't think I've won a rivalry yet. Our team will bump up to claim level 14, I think, here. Just about, yep. So that's pretty good. We're actually not too far away from being able to sign another sponsor for the team. So that would be an extra amount of money coming into the team every month. Perhaps we can get that before the end of the season. Get a new sponsor on the car for the start of the season. That'd be quite good. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Email from Mark here. Not going to pay too much attention to it. You've seen it all before. And I mean, I guess that's it. Time to get into the race.
Welcome to Mexico City, the most popular city in North America, and home, of course, to the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd as usual here at one of the shortest circuits on the Formula One calendar. And who, I wonder, will they be cheering on the top step of today's podium? We're a long way above sea level here in Mexico today, which could pose some cooling issues for the cars as they make their way around this 2.6-mile lap. 17 corners with top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour. And watch out for potential overtaking into turns 1 and 4. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Perez, Fernando Alonso, and Hamilton. Ricciardo, they've taken a grid penalty. Verstappen, Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel. Ocon, Albon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Kevin Magnussen, Robinson, Russell, Mick Schumacher, Valtteri Bottas, and Nicholas Latifi. They've taken a grid penalty. Tsunoda, Schwartzman, Gasly, and Guan Yu Zhou. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me, as usual, for today's race. Now, let's talk about Charles Leclerc. What a season they've had, a well-deserved championship victory, and the pressure now is surely off with the title already in the bag.
It really is well-deserved. I wouldn't say it's been a faultless title challenge, but certainly one that has been consistent and well-managed. Here's hoping they let off a bit of steam today and give us an exciting race.
So yeah, even with all the grid penalties that everyone's got, it turns out we only ended up 14th, which surprised me because a lot of people ahead of us have grid penalties as well. So I guess Albon and that must have qualified quite high. I don't know. It remains to be seen. But yeah, so we're starting 14th. That's actually not too bad, especially considering we started last. Even if I was thinking we might get even higher. That's usually how it always goes at the end of one of these seasons, especially Season 1 when reliability is not great. Pretty much everyone on the grid looked like they had a penalty, apart from a few people at the front. So it's going to be a bit of a weird grid, you know. We got some people like Albon in front of us and people like Russell behind us. It's just a bit mixed up all around, really. But yeah, hopefully not too bad. Hopefully we can be sort of in the mix. And yeah, now we're here lining up on the grid. We'll see if we can get a good parking potentially. I always like to show these just to flex, just about in the purples. I don't think I've had a 0.1 in a long time, to be honest with you, but here we go anyway. So the lights come on. And the lights go out. Here we go. It's a pretty good start. We are on the soft compound tyres, so it's to be expected that we would be faster than the medium compound tyre runners. But yeah, we've already cleared Magnussen. This is pretty good. We're pushing quite hard on the battery, seeing if we can clear Albon into the first corner potentially. Magnussen's actually coming back at us now. We go for a bit of a send. So does Esteban Ocon. And now we're battling with Lance Stroll. Sebastian Vettel is battling with Esteban Ocon as well. We'll see if we can potentially get ahead of him. We're going to burn some more battery going through here. We're already pushing super hard on the battery, trying to make up these places. I need these points, you know. I want that bonus that the sponsor's offering us. However much it is, 4 million, 5 million, I don't remember. It's going to make such a big difference. And also, anywhere we can finish in the championship. Remember, we got to score 8 points to be ahead of the other teams in the championship now. So, or more than 8 points even, I think. Because I think they've both got 8 points. So yeah, if we want to make up a position, we have to basically get, I think, like 9 or 10 points over the course of the next 3 races, which the minimum sort of finishing positions you can do for that is going to be, I'm trying to think, 9 points. It's going to be like 2 eighths and a 10th is going to be the worst that we can do and still get that. So we might even need Schwartzman to up his game into the points, which I honestly can't see happening between you and me. But we are up into 10th, but keep in mind we're on the soft compound tyres and everyone around us is on the mediums. So we're going to be stopping way earlier than these guys. And yeah, I think it's a one stop for us, but we're stopping on lap 12. Whereas I imagine most of these guys will probably not stop till sort of, if they're going medium hard, then they might stop like lap 16. If they're going medium soft, then you'd imagine they're going to be going till sort of lap 21, 22, something like that. We're running wide all over the place at the moment, but we've not been issued any warnings yet, I don't think. And yeah, that's going to allow us to keep pushing without having to be too sort of conscious about what we're doing. We're staying with the cars in front of us at the moment, but as I said before, we are on a faster compound of tyre. I'm having a look up and down the grid, and it doesn't look like there are any cars you wouldn't expect to be in the mix here at this point, I feel like. I think Alonso's up there in like P4 by the looks of things. I assume it's the 2 Ferraris. Actually, that's P5. So maybe Norris is in the... Oh yeah, Norris is in the top 3 at the moment. Good for him, I guess. But yeah, pretty standard all the way down to sort of me, Stroll and Albon occupying the sort of fringes of the points. But Albon, as you can see, is already falling away massively. He's 5 seconds behind us already. So he's just going to be holding up the cars behind him in a train. And so the battle for the battle for P10 rather is going to be between me and Stroll, if things can stay this way. And any points we score is points that we take off Aston Martin and Williams at this point, because they're not in the points. So that's that's good. But you see here on lap 5, Lance Stroll does eventually get ahead of me with a DRS. But, you know, I think I didn't have a great few laps. I think maybe potentially I could get back at him. If I'd have broken out of the DRS range, I think I would have pulled away from him. It was just that with the DRS, he was reeling himself back into me pretty much every single lap. So, yeah, that's not... it's not easy to pull away from cars in this game when they have the DRS and you don't. And you can see as we get onto lap 10, Stroll has broken out of my DRS range just about, and maybe he can start pulling away. I guess it will remain to be seen. Instantly, a million things just happened. Yeah, there was, I think that was Joe. Yeah. So Joe is out, Vettel is out. We're going to box because there's a safety car. We're going to go to hards because I'm not sure mediums can make it all the way to the end. 26 laps, it's sort of touch and go whether the mediums will make it that far. I think they probably could, but the hards will just give us a bit more sort of security in this race. Bottas is also out, so that's both Alfa Romeos out in one fell swoop, and also one of the Aston Martins is out of the race. And yeah, that was rather unexpected, I must say, but I mean, it works quite well for us. I guess it's less competition that can maybe overtake us later in the race. A safety car isn't great. We're still on these pit stops. I think this was because one of my friends was playing, and I was helping them, so I changed the settings so they didn't have to worry about doing the manual pit stops. So we're on broadcast. Pit stop error, unfortunately, 4.7 seconds, not fantastic. We can definitely make it to the end on these tyres, no problem. But yeah, that's going to be, it's going to make it a bit more difficult. So let's see what actually happened to cause these three cars to retire. So we're riding on board with, I believe this is Albon, and you see Vettel gets his wing knocked off. Bottas goes into him as well. I think Schwartzman goes into the back of Joe, which causes Joe's wheel to fall off. And then Albon drives away like nothing happened. But you see Vettel and Bottas here, both, yeah, both sort of pulling over. And that's their race over. Joe's race is over as well. That looks like Russell with a missing front wing, Schwartzman with a missing front wing. So, yeah, that incident actually affected way more cars than just the three who retired. Let's see, when this car comes past here, I couldn't see whether Gasly, I think that was Gasly, I couldn't see whether Gasly was missing his front wing or not. But, oh, I think it might have been Tsunoda, actually. But, regardless of who it was, they're not going to have lost out too much for the simple fact that there was a safety car, which means they can change tyres, they can change the front wing, and they're not going to lose out too much compared to if there hadn't been a safety car. So we're in P12 now, but I think some cars haven't stopped yet. For example, I think Stroll is in P4. Fernando Alonso is actually leading the race at this point, because I think the two cars in front of him have already stopped. So yeah, we have a real opportunity to get some points here. We just need to not bottle it. We need to keep up the pace that we've been showing throughout the race, even if we haven't been showing too much pace in the qualifying. The race has been pretty good for us, and that's been a common theme over the last few races. Qualifying, we haven't been doing amazingly, but then come race day, we managed to turn it on and gain quite a few positions. So yeah, lap 14, and the safety car is in, and we're ready to go racing again. And here we go. You see we're being pressured quite hard by Magnussen behind us. We managed to keep him behind through the two DRS straights. Obviously no DRS at the moment. And then Esteban Ocon gets held up by, I think that's Verstappen getting ahead of Ricciardo. And we take our chances, you know. Ocon got held up a bit. I'm going to try and go out the inside in a sort of Ricciardo-esque move, if you remember the move that Ricciardo made on Tsunoda at Mexico in real life this year. Obviously, we pulled it off a little bit more cleanly, and we are up into P11, just one place away from the points, with many cars ahead of us still yet to stop. I think we're in sort of a net P7, P8 at the moment. So, as I was saying earlier, a P8, and a P10 if we want to get the 9 points required. I'm very glad I have a pop filter. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, so we just need to make one more place up. And as you see, there's another yellow flag come out now. I think there's a Haas involved there, and that can only be Kevin Magnussen because he was behind us. Alex Albon is out of the session, and I wonder if anyone else... There's another safety car. So there's the second safety car of the race already. Is anyone else going to retire from this incident? Kevin Magnussen, as expected. I think that might have been a mechanical failure for him. And we'll see what happened to the two of them. Because, yeah, I'm assuming mechanical failure for Magnussen. We're riding on board with him now as he comes around the final corner. He pulls over to the side, I assume for some kind of failure. And Albon plows straight into the back of him. And, yeah, that's his race over. And that's Magnussen's race over as well, as he pulls off to the side to let everyone through. He tries to keep going for a little bit, but I think eventually he realizes this is a fruitless endeavor. And so he pulls over the nearest sort of marshal access point. There shouldn't really be, I guess, for Albon, who's in the middle of the track. If Magnussen had pulled over like that without anyone being involved, I would have said that shouldn't have been a safety car. So that was really bizarre. I slowed down because I was like, why is Hamilton slowing down? And then I realized that he was retiring from the race with a mechanical failure as well. So we've already had 4 cars crash out of this race and 2 mechanical failures, and we're only on lap 15. We are in really good stead. We're in the points. There's another safety car restart. There's cars ahead who still need to stop, so they're going to be neutralized in this race. I think, you know, actually there's a few of them coming in now, so we'll see where this lands us. We've got Schumacher coming in. There's Stroll. I think that's Verstappen and Alonso all coming in. So now we're in P6. We almost go into the back of Ricciardo on the restart, so I'm very glad I managed to avoid him. I would really hate for our race to be undone due to some kind of silly mistake that we make, such as going into the back of a car in front of us under a safety car. That would not be how I'd want my race to end. But we are in P6, and this is a legit net P6 as well, I believe. In fact, I'm looking at Perez ahead on the mediums, and I don't remember him having stopped. So maybe he even needs to stop as well. And in that case, this could be a net P5 for us in this race at the moment. That would be unprecedented. We are in the worst car on the grid. We have absolutely no business being this high up. And you're telling me we could legitimately be in contention for 6th place. That would be unheard of. See, I got a bit racy with Daniel Ricciardo there, but thought better of it. You know, there's no point trying to go for something stupid here and ending our race. Ocon's now challenging us because of me going for that dicey move, and we're going to go 3 wide at the end of that DRS straight, and I do actually manage to make the move work on Daniel Ricciardo. We'll see if he can keep Ocon behind. It looks like he is just about managing it, but now we are in legitimately P5, and you see, as well as Perez having the mediums on, Sainz, who I don't think has stopped yet, is also on the medium compound tyre, and so that means we are in net P3 at the moment. We are net on the podium in this race. That is unheard of. Like I said, this would be like if Alex Albon in real life found himself in contention for a podium position. And I'm actually keeping myself here. You know, I'm not getting swamped immediately. Even on the straights, I'm managing to get away with keeping them behind by burning a lot of my battery. I don't know if I've gone with some battery upgrades this season because I'm burning it a lot on the straights, and still, you see, I'm not burning it this time because I knew Ricciardo was going to get ahead of me anyway. But when I do burn it on the straights, it doesn't feel like I lose that much battery. You know, I've been very competitive throughout most of this race, so yeah, I really don't know like what the. Okay, so Norris has a problem as well, so this could potentially feed into our hands even further. If he retires from this race, we will be in net P3 again, because Ricciardo's obviously got ahead of us. But that won't mean that the podium will be, I think the net podium will be Leclerc, Ricciardo, myself. But obviously Norris is still there for the time being. It looks like it's just some kind of mechanical issue. He has fallen away from Perez and Sainz quite dramatically at this point, but now he's got to do the honourable thing and let his teammate go through. It looks like he's going to defend that position for all his salt. I don't know why you would do that. You know, your teammate is in a much better position than you are, and for some reason, you know, you're going wheel to wheel with him, you're smacking into him, and in doing that, he's allowed me to get back in the fight. I've got DRS, I've got battery, Norris has neither of these things. I'm going to go to the outside, Ricciardo to the inside with 3 wide once again, and we're going to see who comes out on top of this battle. I'm going around the outside, Ricciardo had to be at the inside, and it's going to be me who comes through to take P4 off of both McLarens in one corner, in the worst car on the grid. This race, I could not have predicted anything that has happened in this race whatsoever. This has been almost unheard of. In fact, I'm going to show you this overtake again. I was trying to remember what this replay was. This is me watching this replay for no reason other than I just want to see how good this overtake actually was once again. Unfortunately, we're not going to, because it decided that this is the camera angle it was going to show during the replay, and it is the same in the highlights. Sorry for the spoilers, but yeah, you're not going to see the overtake any better than from the onboard, I'm afraid, so I'm just glad I managed to get that for you. That is probably one of the best overtakes I've made all season, maybe all game, and maybe even across the entire F1 series. The only thing I can think of that even rivals is in my F1 2020 playthrough, I had the overtake in Canada out of the final chicane, where I overtook 3 cars.
Okay, watch your pace. We've been informed the safety car is out. There appears to have been an issue with multiple stock vehicles on the track.
So you've got to be joking. There is now a 3rd safety car of the race. It looks like Ricciardo had some kind of issue because he's fallen away quite dramatically. I wonder if he spun at that corner and took out Latifi in the process. That would be very unfortunate for Latifi, who, if he'd been in a position to get hit by that, he must have been in the points. Which, as you know, doesn't happen very often in Nicholas Latifi's career, apart from in Japan this year, I believe it was. I did briefly consider boxing again, but I thought my track position was way too valuable to throw it away and roll the dice on a set of soft compound tyres to the end of the race. So, yeah, you see, I even changed what my next tyres will be, but I'm not going to pit. I really don't think it's the right decision. I think holding track position right now, I'd rather consolidate the position we have rather than try and go for some bold gamble that doesn't pay off. Into the pits went Sainz and Perez there, and now we find ourselves in legitimate 2nd place. We'll see what happened here. So we're riding on board with Latifi here, the Williams obviously, behind I believe that is Pierre Gasly, and you see here Ricciardo has had a spin and Latifi just has nowhere to go. And yeah, that corner is catching a lot of people out today. I've been seeing so many people spinning there. You see everyone sort of ghosting, trying to get their way out. Safety car in this lap. I almost did the same thing again that I nearly did with Ricciardo earlier in the race to Leclerc on this occasion. And yeah, we're going to have a safety car restart. I've got Norris for company. I think probably he will end up overtaking me because I can't see how I'm going to have the pace to keep a McLaren behind for 12 laps, but we'll see what happens. I mean, ideally, I would want to be challenging for the lead of this race, but I really don't think that's going to happen, to be perfectly honest with you. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. But the safety car is now over, and now we really have to defend with everything we have if we want to consolidate a podium or a solid points finish. You know, if we get a P5 or higher, that's all the points we need to get ahead of Aston Martin and Williams and take P9 in the championship. I think that's the best we've got on offer this season. Unless I win a couple of races, I think that's the best championship position we can get is P9. But that's certainly better than it was looking before this race. I think I would have said there's no way we're finishing anywhere other than P11. For some reason, I seem to have lost my connection to the audio, but I'm wondering if that is video side or just normal side. I think it's just me. Yeah, now we're on lap 26, and we're under pressure from Lando Norris here. You see that he's closing us down quite dramatically, and I'm not fighting it too hard. I'm not using my battery or anything, and yeah, we do actually fight back for the position. He goes into the side of us, no damage, thank God. But what we're really doing here is we're allowing Ocon and Sainz into the fight, and the more I allow cars behind me into the fight, the more that it's going to mean I am going to be sort of jeopardizing my position for later in the race, unless I can defend like this every lap, which it's not really feasible to defend like this every lap. I'm sure you will agree with me. So yeah, we do end up staying ahead of Norris just about after a multi-corner battle with him, but I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to hold him behind for. I guess we'll find out. You know, Ocon and Sainz making their way through. Sainz on the medium compound tyre and a much faster car. I reckon he probably makes it through all of us eventually for a Ferrari 1-2. I really don't think I'm going to be able to hold him behind on the medium tyres, because where I'm thriving over most of these cars is the fact that I'm faster through the corners They're faster on the straights. Sainz is going to be faster in the corners and the straights. There's kind of no way that I'm going to be able to keep him behind. And you see that he's already up into P4 and very close behind us. Lando Norris is 1/10 behind us. I don't think DRS is enabled like for the activation point. So actually he's still not managing to make it ahead of us quite the level that he would want. But yeah, we do manage to just about fight him off to keep the position. And I think Carlos Sainz is now going to try and come through to overtake him, and I guess we will see what happens here. Yeah, Carlos Sainz is just getting ahead of Norris, I believe, through these corners. He's going to have the superior traction, and yeah, he makes it up into P3. I actually, for some reason, decided not to show you Sainz's overtake on me. So yeah, I don't know what's up with that. You can blame it for not being in my notes when I edited this video. I'm struggling to get my words out at this point. Now I'm under pressure from Norris and Perez, who's also on the medium compound tyres. This is going to be it's going to be a hard position to fight if I want to stay on the podium. Norris brakes perfectly on the apexes of all of these corners, and that kind of screws me over in my fight with not only him but also with Perez behind. I pretty much have no way of holding them off, and this is going to be quite sad for the outcome of this race. If I can't hold off him, then probably Ricciardo and Ocon and those guys are all going to come knocking soon. But we'll see what we can do to hold them off for the remainder of the race. Lap 31, we've got 5 laps remaining. I really just want to consolidate any position I can get, and I really do not want to fall out of the points. Lap 35, and you see I've managed to maintain this position so far, but Ricciardo is super close behind. I've got no battery to fight with, and he's got the DRS. He is getting ahead of me here. I'm trying to squeeze him as far as I can to the right so I can attack him around the outside of this corner. I do manage to get around the outside just about, and I'm going to cut him off at the inside there. A bit dirty. There's another yellow flag behind us, and I wonder if there's been another incident at that very same corner. We'll see. Stroll is out, Schwartzman's out, and Schumacher is out. All the S's, they're all out of the race. And that leaves only 12 cars out of 22 left in this race. This has been by far the most hectic race of the whole season. No plans for a safety car. Obviously, we've already had 3 in this race, and there's only 1 lap before the end. The races cannot end under safety car. Let's see what happened here. Riding on board with Schumacher, the only Haas left in the race. He turns around, and he takes out the only Aston Martin left in this race. And then Schwartzman goes into front of him, taking both of them out. And that is what is in the thumbnail, in case you're wondering. It's not me who crashes out of this race. I would be a lot more upset about that if that had happened, obviously. So now Ocon is outside of our DRS range coming into the final lap and the main straight. So as long as we can hold him off for one more lap and not lose too much pace on this final lap, we are looking at a P5 finish. That's all we need to do. He's 9/10 down on us. I don't think he has the DRS. Getting notification that Robert Schwartzman is out of the race. Of course, we already knew that. Very unfortunate for him, because I do believe he was actually running in or very close to the points. And yeah, very scruffy first corner for us already. I think the tyres are going off quite dramatically at this point, so we just need to stay vigilant, stay on it, and make sure that we don't lose so much pace that Ocon can overtake us before the end of the race. Once we made it through this DRS straight, there's basically only one more place on the whole circuit where Ocon can overtake us, so it's looking more and more likely that we're going to get this done. But he is 2/10 behind us coming into this DRS straight. We're going to have to burn all our battery to keep him behind. He has a little bit of a look in. We close the door. Charles Leclerc wins the race. The fireworks go off during the middle of the day, and yeah, there's basically nothing that can stop us now unless he manages to force a late move at the very end. But you see he's fallen away. I think closing the door on him meant he had to sort of slow down a little bit, and that is going to be a P5 finish. First points of the season, and I don't remember the name of the engineer in this game. I think his name is Rob, but I could be wrong about that. No, it's not Rob. I can't remember. What is his name? Mark? It's Mark. Yeah. He couldn't be less thrilled for it. Ferrari wrap up the championship. There's so much to focus on, and we've got 10 points. We take P9 in the championship off of Aston Martin and Williams. and that's points.
Set them apart from the rest.
Well, staying out of trouble was probably the most important factor here. In the race where half the field weren't classified at the checkered flag, you were able to guarantee a good result by basically keeping the car running. With their pace and a decent strategy as well, I don't think the race was ever really in doubt.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
That has got to be one of the most chaotic races I've ever driven in this game. Or in any one of these games, for that matter. I've never seen that many AI mistakes, like random AI mistakes. You know, you always have your sort of scripted mechanical failures in the race, and there were only 2 of those, which was Hamilton and Magnussen. Tsunoda made it up 11 places to claim driver of the day. I think I personally deserved it, but yeah, that's Ferrari wrapping up the championship. Let's take a look at a few of the standings. We've moved into P16 in the championship, ahead of Vettel, Albon and Zhou. Schwartzman, despite the fact that he didn't finish the race, because he was classified, because he crashed out 1 lap before the end, he now moves ahead of Lundgaard because that finish was better than anything Lundgaard did at his time at the team. Here we are going into the highlights. Like I said, yeah, that's, what, 8 cars that unnaturally retired from the race, as in, like, unscripted retirements. I've never seen anything like that in any of these games before. That is very exciting. I know that the multiplayer in this game is a bit of a mess, but honestly, the single player in this game is significantly better than apart from the AI going for dodgy dive bombs, which they don't seem to be able to fix. Now that they've addressed the sort of the straight line speed issue, this game has suddenly become something very, very different, like something way more enjoyable. You know, in the time since they fixed the straight line speed, which granted was ages ago at this point, I've had a P11, a P11, and a P5. Before that, I had like a P22, a P19, a P22, P21. You know, like it was just misery. It was why I stopped playing this game in the first place. And now I'm like, why did I stop doing this? You know, I stopped doing it as soon as the game got good. I didn't give it enough of a chance, clearly. You know, just incredible racing. And I'm way more optimistic now that I might be able to get those 2 points finishes that I need. I only need 1 more in Brazil and Abu Dhabi. Brazil is notorious for having a bit of chaos, and I'm also pretty good around Brazil usually. I feel like it's one of my stronger circuits. So I think if I can hold them off across that big DRS quote-unquote straight, the main sort of straight at Brazil, I think there's a very good chance that yeah, there could be some magic. They showed you that that double overtake I pulled off again. Here it's going to show the position I lose to Perez, I think, because I kind of challenged Norris during it, I think. But I'm not sure. Maybe it's just showing me losing a position. I don't know why, because I made up a lot of good overtakes here, and none of them really seem to be in this highlight reel. But what do I know why that is? I'm just here for the racing. And the racing is good. The racing is really good. It's honestly been surprising how good the racing has been. And yeah, that's me crossing the line once again. P5. I can't believe it. You know, I recorded this like over a week ago at this point. I don't have that much time to do these recordings, and I was chuffed. I was chuffed a bit. I actually think I genuinely celebrated when this happened, like audibly. It was quite something. I was very, very happy with the result. And yeah, that is pretty much everything that I think is going to happen in this video. We'll just address the sort of the team acclaim. We do get both of the bonuses because despite the fact that Schwartzman did DNF, he got classified, and so that's all that matters. Obviously, we don't get the damage deduction bonus from him, but we are up to 4.1 million, and if we're signing a driver who's going to be worth $800,000, we might be able to upgrade some facilities. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.